I've had R6s, MT09s, dirt bikes and R1s, but yet this little 400 that was meant to be a quick experiment is the hardest bike I've ever had to part ways with. Except for my Peewee 80 obviously, they're in a league of their own. Just over a year ago, I bought this KTM 390 Duke. I'd grown a bit bored of street bikes and decided to downgrade my road bike so I could focus on my newfound passion for riding dirt bikes. I honestly expected to be bored of it within a few months, as did most of you guys, but somehow it's now one of the bikes that I've actually owned for the longest period of time. So what is it about this thing that's kept me interested? Thank you to Exter for sponsoring this video. Whether you want a stylish, traditional premium leather wallet, something sleek and modern with quick card access and RFID protection, or just a way to track the wallet you frequently lose with your phone like me, Exter have a wallet solution for you. So slim down what you take with you on your next ride and get 5% off Exter's website, all by following the link in the description. When you usually sell a bike, there's a sense of practicality within that decision. Like, that R1 is very expensive to insure anyway, I'll save money getting rid of it. Or, I never get it to 300 km/h anyway, so I don't really need a superbike. We find a way to rationalize getting rid of a bike to make it easier to part ways with a piece of machinery we formed a connection with. And that is what selling the 390 is missing. It doesn't cost a fortune to insure, it doesn't use a tanker load of fuel, and I hit its top speed every time I ride it. So how do I rationalize getting rid of a 100% practical bike? Another reason why I think it's been able to entertain me for so long is because there are quite a few areas of the bike that KTM put a lot of effort into, where other manufacturers might have skimped. Firstly, it has upside-down forks that make the bike look much sportier. Now, there aren't many manufacturers that would put upside-down forks on such a little naked bike. For example, Yamaha couldn't even be bothered to put them on their MT07, a bigger naked bike. Unfortunately, they aren't adjustable, which is where they save money, but at least they're sizable forks that are much more stable. And they aren't flimsy-looking fork legs that look like they skipped leg day that you'd expect to find on this bike. It also comes stock with steel braided brake lines, instead of the cheaper and worse rubber brake lines that so many manufacturers use because it's an easy place to save money. We don't have anything special in the caliper department, but luckily the braided brake lines do compensate for that a bit. Then there's the tech. However, it's not the tech that you're used to. It's not your normal traction control and anti-wheelie targeted at your regular biker, because firstly, you don't need that stuff with 42 horsepower. And secondly, it's tech targeted towards Gen Zs, because ultimately that is the target audience for this bike. So instead, you have a full color screen that you can connect your phone to, so you can control your music from the handlebar. And you have a supermoto mode that sounds absolutely awesome, but literally just disables the rear wheel ABS, so you can lock it up, do a skid, and giggle. It even comes stock with black levers, so you don't feel the urge to instantly upgrade them, and sleek LED indicators that don't stick out like a pumpkin, meaning one less upgrade. These might all seem like small things, but they add up to make a quality bike that you don't feel disappointed by after just 3 months. Especially when watching bigger bikes whiz past you on the road. We're about to get overtaken by the big boys. Exhaust. Oh, I like exhaust. But it's not just what KTM chose to do with the bike that's kept me entertained for so long. To a large extent, it's what I've chosen to do with the bike, and I'm not talking about upgrades or modifications even. I've done more riding on this little bike than I did on any of my big bikes. I've done long rides to places I've never taken a bike to. I've done more highway miles, despite it not really having enough power to feel comfortable on a highway. I've done grocery trips that it excels at, and all of this was done out of necessity. I'm just in a different place in my life, which meant I had to do all of these things, and the best weapon I had at my disposal was this Duke. But making it do things it wasn't 100% designed to do meant I formed a connection with it. My blood is definitely still blue and not orange, but I am rather fond of this plucky little bike. I genuinely believe that every biker should ride something like a 400 for 6 months or so every 5 years, because it really makes you appreciate the big bike that you have. I used to take having a big bike waiting for me in the garage for granted. I'd never take it for fun breakfast runs or take it to new roads, because I just expected it to still be waiting for me when the mood actually struck me. I got complacent. However, over the last year of not having that luxury, I've learned that I need to do more trips, more breakfast runs, and appreciate how easy everything is on a big bike. The past year has been brilliant. It's had countless cameras strapped to it. It put up with me riding it with a dirt bike helmet. It was a very convincing actor in a bike robbery scene. It got stylish protection parts from Baggaros. Felt like the second favorite child sharing a garage with a smelly two-stroke. Had a makeover with a new sticker kit, and got put on a sketchy bike lift some imbecile built. But it didn't complain once. So if you're seeing this video, it probably means that I've already sold my 390 Duke, and I'm actually really sad about that. Despite the fact that everyone on YouTube thought I was going crazy when I downgraded my bike, I think it was one of the best decisions I ever made.